All right. Thanks for tuning in to today's stream. So Wednesdays I work on the various tools that are used for the Drupal upgrade or major version upgrade process. There's phpstan-drupal and upgrade status, and then the drupal-rector module. So today I'm going to be working on drupal-rector because 2 or 3 weeks ago phpstan 1.0 was released, and with that rector also had a .12 release. And right now, Rector, you can't really have Drupal Rector installed alongside phpstan-drupal because they conflict. So I'll be working on that. Do want to make a note? If you haven't seen the news, I've taken a new job. I will be joining Acquia in 2 weeks. I will still be doing my live streams. I've postponed any future sponsorships. So I do want to thank Palantir. The timing worked out just right. They had the last of the 5 episodes was last week. And sorry. So again, thanks Palantir for the past 15 weeks of sponsored shows. It's kind of weird not doing their intro right here, but I do have to say thanks to them because they have made every Wednesday possible. But I plan on continuing them now that I'm not self-employed, so I can actually have some time. So let's get to it. I know that there is a branch already started. This has been the initial beginnings of it, where it updates Rector to .12 and phpstan to 1.0. And we have various errors here. Fetching deprecated class name of attribute key. Oh, okay, maybe this is a lot further along than. Never mind. It's not further along. That's just the static analysis. If we look at the functional tests, we get some more errors about the resolve parent class name must implement interface scope instance of method called given. This looks like, wait, how would the PHP unit test pass, but that fails. Either way, I'm going to check this out and see if we can get it fixed up before, hopefully we can get it fixed up. So I'm going to check out pull request 184. Now the thing is, I won't be able to push to this branch because I'm not a maintainer on the project. I will have to push it to my own fork and either open a PR to their fork or a PR directly to Drupal-rector. To be decided what I'm going to do. But first off, I got to run composer update to get these changes in play. It should go pretty quick. Whoa. Failed to extract. Most likely due to a custom installer plugin not handling the return promise. I'm going to run an update one more time. All right, there we go. Oh, Drupal-rector tests. I need to fix. Looks like there's something that needs to be fixed there. Let's go fix a test name real quick for the auto loading rector. What is that? Assert pattern. Assert pattern rector. Assert pattern rector test. Oh. Pattern rector test. I did a lot of copy pasting before when we first wrote these, so there's definitely some errors there. So thankfully, composer warned me about that. And we've got everything updated. Let's go ahead and run some of the checks. Why are my sciences being stupid like right now? Workflows, so phpstan. Let's go run that. All right, so we got 2 deprecated constants that are used. Let's open these, double tap shift to get the class open. And that's line 72. I gotta wait for this to finish indexing. Boop, 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 boop. Should be hopefully done now. All right. Deprecated use what? No, I don't want to. Just let me use, oh man. Use better node finder and node name resolver to find your parent nodes. That's fabulous. Let's fix this phpcs line and go to github.com, rector, php rector, and see, oh, not there. We need to go to the source and see if I can figure out how to use better node finder test. Right. There's no releases here. Okay. Rector, the releases, why do I not see? Okay, there's tags. Okay, so let's find out. Let's try to find this out. When this was deprecated. Inline HTML analyzer, commits. Let's look at the commits. Use class analyzer. That's in the source issues. Let's see. Better node finder. Undefined property, namespace name. I actually hit this on somewhere else. So created. Oh, please, let's find an example. This node namespace resolver get name class like. So we need to inject the node name resolver. Does this have a constructor? It does not. So I hope it's as simple as node type resolver, mixing guard. I want to see if there's just another example of it in a property. Here we go. Let's view the file. Just it's using PHP 8, so we can't just copy it. So private, what is it? Oh, so it's already, I don't need to. It's already in here. Node name resolver. It's protected. Perfect. So let's do, so class name equals, well, I guess we'll keep the same. Class name equals this. Node name resolver. Get name. What does it have class as? Class would be node. That's not it either. We need to get the parent better node finder. Man. Okay. Better node finder. All right, better node finder. So what we gotta do here? We gotta do this better node finder. Find parent type. It's node, and what are the types? It's not giving me an enum. Values, type, class string type. Is a type. Wait, assert is of class node type. So guess. Let's see if I can find examples of this in the code. Okay, well, there's going to be lots of them. Let's find a rector. Property. Okay. So it is find parent by type, class, get name, property. Looks like this should be the fix. And what's funny is I bet there's a rector rule to fix this in drupal-rector. So class, get attribute. Oh, wait. I deleted the wrong things when I pasted. So class equals node statement get class, correct. PHP parser node statement if class instance of class throw should not happen. Then get the class name. So the test will want to do is go. So, all right. So we refactored this to use the find better type. So let's go to test, rector, Drupal set message, rector. Let's go to the test, run it, and make sure that we have no failures, and then we know it works. And it had an error. So let's debug it and see why. Find parent type. Oh, wait. Why are we trying to find the class name? No, hold on. I implemented this horribly. Class name. Oh, so if class name. Shoot. Okay. Never mind. We don't want to. So if class is instance of class, do class get trait uses. This get traits by class. I see that get trait uses, statement uses. No, we don't want to go that far in. So we move. So if we have a class, so we need to rearrange this logic. So if class, so if it's a class, and I guess we can do an array. We would have to do class get name. We would have to do that. This node name resolver get name class. That just feels really ugly. In here. So this messenger method call. So let's back this up a little bit. So the whole point was, so we could have we need to find the traits in the class, else we call a static call. So maybe I'm overthinking this. So if class, so if class instance of, so class name got removed. Class name used to be a fetch from the attribute, but now we need to do class name is actually this no name resolver get name from class. The problem is that class can be null if, oh, so it could be a node or string. If it is string node. The problem is that, oh, that's fine. The problem is that class could be null. So really, we need to just break up this. I don't like doing variable value definition inside of if statements. I think it's wrong. And that would be one way to short circuit this. But we could just say if class instance of class. Because the one part is I don't want to miss this else. I guess I don't want to duplicate the else, and I guess that's not a bad problem to do. Well, we don't want to just return. The problem is that we want to check if we're in a class, and if we need to make sure that we're in a class that has messenger trait to do this messenger. Otherwise, fall back to a fully qualified static call. So if class, and to do that, we need to know the traits. So we just say, oh, we'll do this. Has messenger trait equals false. Just do it this way. So if it's an instance of class, we'll say has messenger trait equals in array, and this is now just has messenger trait, and in array messenger trait, this get traits by class, and the class name is this. Oh, we do have the class name there. Do you need to keep the if class name check? No, that got dropped. So in your simpler check is null class because you are going to get the Drupal messenger right. Well, now, so the idea is that we might be in a class, but the class may not have messenger trait. And if messenger trait exists, we want to do this messenger. But if it's a class or a function, like a procedural function, we want to do the \Drupal messenger. And here's the fixtures. So this converts to the fully qualified static call. It's the basic. Do we have, oh, we don't have it in a class here. We don't have any samples with it as a class. That should probably be updated. Yeah, so if when you check is null, like make sure it's a class and the class actually has messenger trait to know if we should inject this messenger. I think that's okay. Now I need to go back and see where else this is being used. Link generated trait. Let's see. Class name. Again, this is using the same kind of concept. So now what would be neat is if we made a trait for this, like class has trait. Let's see, get traits by class helper. Oh, look at that. We own this as it is. Oh, thanks. I'm assuming congratulations for the recent job news. I appreciate it. Get trace by class. So we'll say, wait, if we have a get trace, why don't we just have final protected function class has trait? Or wait, yeah, why don't we hold up. So this method made sense before when you had the class name. So why don't we refactor this to what we really need is this class node has trait, or this, right? We would want to say this class has trait and pass the class. I'm going to start working on this in here. So we've got a protected. Yeah, that's it. Like if class, but class should be nullable is what I want to do. Final protected function class string trait. This is what I want to implement. Which is now, so let's do, so if class equal to null, return false, class name, get in this actual camel case, and then return there. So that reads correct to me. Now, can I add the bool return type? Sweet, I can, because 7.1 allows boolean return types. All right, that makes me happy and simplifies things a lot when we get into the link generator trait. So this has the same problem. Say if class has trait. I feel like it should be like this class type. I don't like the wording exactly, but this class has trait, class find parent type. If class, we'll say if class type. And how about check class type has trait? Seems like a decent. Can find parent return type return things other than null and class? Yes. So find type can so find parent type. So you pass the type that you're expecting, and if it doesn't match the type you're expecting, then it returns null. So see right here, do while. So if the parent node is of type the one you requested, return. Otherwise, it returns null. Do while. So it keeps looping through till it finds a parent. Otherwise, it returns null. So we shouldn't have any errors because class will either be a class object or it will be null. Yeah, that do while, like I'm reading it and I don't understand how it works. Like, so if is a return parent, if not, if parent is not instance of node, never mind. So for some reason, we don't get a node, which is the root object of anything inside in the abstract syntax tree. It returns null. You could do yields. I guess you could do that, but you don't want to really yield it because you're not yielding the return. I also know that when I get to what do you want to call it? Whenever I start working with yields, I know my brain goes my eyes glaze over a little bit. So there's that. All right, so we have this fixed. If we find the usages, we'll keep this in. I wonder if Rector even has a better way to find traits by class. But we're not going to get too far into refactoring right here. We're just fixing some of the PHP stand warnings. We're not trying to get too wild. So let's make a commit here. Fix usages or convert. Let's say use better node finder and what is it called? Node name resolver to find class find traits. You'll just wraps the return. Okay. Well, I know that I can never keep it straight in my head. So if somebody had a code example, I would love to see it one time because I definitely cannot. My brain just doesn't grok it. Let's see. 1 second. What am I doing? Oh yeah. So push origin get push U for tracking origin 324. All right, so this is what I need to decide. Do I make a pull? I'm going to make a GitHub PR create. I'm going to create a new pull request. phpstan 1.0 and rector 0.12. Extends that PR. Drupal.org issue. Copy. Submit. Woohoo! Follower goal met. Awesome. It's weird. I think it's using the while crawl up the tree looking for type. Yeah, it's definitely trying to iterate up the tree, like to keep on finding parents. So that's where I know, like when some of that stuff, like trying to convert it to be more intelligent with like yields and generators, it just goes over my head. With that. All right, so I've got this pushed. PHP stands passing. The functional tests are what we're failing, which means that we have lack of coverage in our PHP unit tests. That's what that means. PHP unit should be doing the same kind of conversions as the functional testing. So if something's exploding there, we need to see why. So browser test get base mock rector. All right, let's try to read that stack trace. And so source, rector, base, get mock base, line 51. Oh boy. Well, I guess that's real easy to solve. Why is it using parent class name? So resolve parent class name, find usages. PHP, class method. So scope. Oh, okay. So you get it off of the attributes. And that is the PHP stan scope. Why is this complaining at me? I don't want to. Oh, I don't want to code fix the entire file. I guess. So that's definitely one thing. Is some of the code 1, 2, 3, 4. No, come. Some of the code has like the Drupal code standards in it still. Let's go. All right, so that would fix this. Which makes me want to get that in PHP unit because that should not be happening. So get mock base, unit test. What does this do? Fixes deprecated get mock calls. Because Drupal code standards are the readable ones. If there's one thing I've become, like the hill I will die on, is that I dislike the Drupal coding standards so much. Maybe it's just our doc block requirements. Like, oh, make sure you document every single property. It's like name your properties better instead of typing out all that ridiculous stuff. That is definitely the hill I'll die on. I like a nice mix because yes, there are plenty of times I come into like Rector or PHP Stan. I'm like, what does this method even do? Like sometimes notes are better, but like I like doc blocks that just need to help explain the typing, and that's it. There shouldn't be all this extra fluff like we require inside of Drupal. So I guess I'm a middle of the road person. I just want something that's a little bit more middle. All right. So let's see. This was applying it to dispatching service. What was applying that one? So let's just do a. Let's copy some stuff. Fixture. Yeah, so all right. I shouldn't say. I should retract that statement a bit. I do appreciate that. Well, that's not even like a standard at that point. I like that in the Drupal community, we tend to have lots of document comments that explain code for others. Whereas in a lot of other PHP projects, it's like there's no comments, and the only person that knows how it works is the maintainer. So that's not even like a code standards. That's just like a practice that I really appreciate inside of Drupal, is that we have that. There. I hope that's a better. I think that's a better explanation of it. Let's see. What do we do? Test files, configured rule. All right. So let's copy this assert equal rule to get mock rectors. I'll say get mock rector. Let's add it. I know, yeah. Or is just yourself, because I know I need to do this for myself all the time because I don't remember anything. So unit test get mock rector. Which, what else is there that? So kernel browser. Okay. Kernel test get mock rector. And browser test get mock rector. All right, so we're going to We got our configured rule. Yeah, I don't know how many times I've come in to reread code that I've written, and it is like I don't even know what is going on. So that's where I believe in a balance. Let's put a balance. I don't necessarily. I don't like having to document extensively every single property because the properties usually don't need to, like unless it's like an array and it's like, hey, this is a static cache. But like private entity type manager, it's like it's the entity type manager. Let me just say private entity type manager interface, entity type manager. I don't need to make the entity manager service. Like that's just so annoying having to constantly retype over and over and over and over and over again. That's my beef. Right, so I'm going to rename this file to get to unit test get mock. Let's go to fixtures D9. Actually, I think that's in D8. Examples source, no, test unit. So we can go now to our test here, and we paste that, and then we paste it here. And if we were to run the test, we'll see that, let's just run the test to make sure it goes through. The data provided for is invalid. Make sure suffixes, yeah, you're right. Drupal goes for the extreme, and like I get it because we use Doxygen. So how would those individual properties get converted into API docs? Like I guess I can get that. I can get that part. What is this doing? All right. So this get mock. Oh wait, duh. Why am I manually doing it when? So these are the examples. Let me just recopy this really quick. So original. And if I go to examples updated test unit, this should be the result. And if I press play, we should get a, no. What? So I guess that proves, well, wait a second. All right, if that's not working, we're not getting a crash. All right, so get configured rule. This should be fixing unit test class being extended unit test case. That's why. So I need to go find our stubs, Drupal tests, and I need to create a stub for the unit test case, new file, .php. Unit test case. Let's go look at drupal.org real quick for the code to create the stub. So core test Drupal test unit test case. So namespace Drupal test unit test case. All right, unit test case extends text case. Does not have assert legacy trait. PHP unit warnings. Blah 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 blah. We don't want to mock all of that. So the next step, if I look at composer.json, I believe we're using a class map and stubs. So I need to do a composer dump. So that way that new file is auto-loaded. So if I go to the mock, we now are extends. So if I click play, I'm hoping that means that it was able to look up the parent. No. Well, that's just great. Class being extended, Drupal test unit test case. Scope, parent class name. So let's wait. All right, let's debug this because this should be passing right now. Debug. And I'm gonna put a note. I'm gonna drop a breakpoint here because maybe it's just returning null up the front. Nope, it's not. Parent class name. Drupal test unit test case. Unit test case. Great. Node name get mock and node var instance of variable, and this node var name is this, and parent class name is equal to this base name be Drupal tests test case. Yep. Return node. Create mock. Why is this? Skipping out. Okay, there's a return null. I'm just going to see if something's returning null at any point in time. There it is. Node, this name, create mock. Why? Parent class name, this kernel test base. All right. Well, what's it processing that? Hold on. Unit test case. Why would it be? Oh, that's a different rule. Sorry, different rule. Let's I'm gonna stop and go back to here. We're gonna say, see, where's the breakpoint? This base. Oh, is that not a property? It is. So this base class being extended. I don't know why it's not auto completing. All right, let's do a breakpoint. I don't understand why it's not returning. Why it's not passing. So this unit test case, parent class name is unit test case. This, so node name is get mock. Var is an instance of method call. Oh, that's, yeah. Wait. Hold on. What? Get mock builder. Why is this a completely different? So 1 second. Let's see. Let's get mock builder. Why was it replacing get mock builder? Or why does this say it should be replaced? This will be updated by rector PHP unit. Oh, that's why. Okay. So I forgot. We have this rule, but then we also include some rector PHP unit ones, and I copied it from the functional test where we include the PHP unit rules. So that's one reason it was failing. So now it should pass. Okay. Um, let's do kernel. And what was it like? What's the other one called? Browser. All right, we'll get these added in as functional tests. So let's do D8, examples, test, functional, browser test, git mock. Paste it. And while I'm at it, I should open the kernel one as well. Just copy this. And hopefully I don't get beyond confused, because when I have multiple files open, that happens. It's updated. Yeah, I'm really loving this, and I love the fact that some folks are trying to get phpstan-drupal or phpstan running against Drupal core at level 0, which detects a lot of like syntax problems, if you will. Nothing too hardcore, but it's uncovered so many bugs inside phpstan-drupal, or not even bugs, but just improvements, which has made me very, very excited. I've already made about three patch releases for phpstan-drupal just off that alone. So I'm really excited that we're trying to get phpstan to run against Drupal core. We'll see if that actually gets merged in or anything else, but it's super exciting. What I'm most excited about with Rector is how people have a source repository that uses like the latest version of PHP, and then they're using Rector to compile down to other compatible languages. So like Rector is developed in PHP 8, and then the package you can install is compatible up to PHP 7.1. So like it's super cool. The problem is that you need to have 2 repos, and there's some way that you could have one repo but multiple versions of a release, but that feels really icky. So like I want to do that with phpstan-drupal, start create a source repository for it that I can do everything in PHP 8 and awesome, and then compile down to PHP 7 dot whatever for end users. But that just feels like a lot of extra overhead. All right. So now this is passing. I'm going to go ahead and see. The fix here was getting a scope. Parent, fix, parent, what is it called? Fix, argument to scope, add unit tests for the failed fixtures to catch errors faster next time. All right, so we'll push that. And hopefully that's the last big error. And then the functional test will pass. I guess what I could do, or I should do, actually, no, that's weird. What is... Oh, because phpstan's only running at level 1. I wonder if that's why that wasn't caught, because that invalid parameter should have been caught by phpstan. Like that's the whole point of phpstan. So let's bump it up. Yeah, why was it only at level 1? Called an undefined method, get declaring freight. Well, that's why it was set to 1, to make things a little bit quieter. We already have a functional test fail. Let's see. again, the same problem. On line 94. So let's go ahead and copy that same fix. I don't feel like copy and pasting a bunch of tests right now, though. So let's see. Where was that? Line 94. So let's say scope. If scope is not equal to null, or if scope instance of scope. What's after this if statement? Is there, nope. Okay, we can put this inside of here. If, wait, shouldn't that be like the first call? So if it's a check, if it's a method call. Oh, there's so many nested. Whatever. That should fix the error and just leave it be. And I wish there was an easier way to fix this. Applying factor. So let's do fix and call to get parent class name. Push that. All right. So how do I get, this is one thing that I dislike about the GitHub stuff is how do I even get, you can't get back to the PR that triggered a run. I'm not saying GitLab makes it much easier, but it's like somewhat noticeable on the right hand side, or you can click, like when you're on a job, you can go to the pipeline and then see like, oh, this pipeline was detached for a certain merge request. All right, let's kick phpstan up to about level 5 and see what we can find out. Call to undefined, unreachable statement. Method should return array. Strict comparison will always evaluate to false. There's a lot of type hinting that needs to be done. Does not accept. Constructor expects. Node name. Call to function is null. With string will always return to false. Comparing string to parameter provider. Well, before we go that far, it's passing. Why didn't this? Oh, I copied the actual. No, don't tip. Stop. So this actually extends 184 with fixes to base classes. There is no way to test. I would recommend tagging 0.12.0 for this commit following the release version pattern of rector. So that's one thing we have been doing is keeping the minor to be equivalent to rectors. So that way it makes some sense. And hopefully this one passes. So Drupal-rector sandbox actually sets up DDev to test the Drupal-rector sandbox they maintain. And that should be fine and good to go. All right. Sweet. Well, that should be all set. And I still got an hour left, which means I can work on some stuff for phpstan-drupal. All right, great. Yep, that passes. Let's see if I need to make any notes that help make this easier to review. Scope. Get mock base. So if there is no scope, we return null, which shouldn't happen. Class. This class has trait. That's just a hot mess. Has trait. With the previously, the code was just checking if the class name was an empty string. Now rector leverages a type object lookup. This helps keep code clean when checking if a class node has a trait. Try to explain that a bit. Test case adds a stub so we can unit test the get mock base rector set. Just to explain that file. Fix for auto loading and composer warning. And then that's just the test samples. There. Added notes. Now let's go look at some phpstan-drupal, since there's not much I can do there. Glommen, phpstan-drupal. Now I need to decide if I want to pick. I was working on this pre-render rule to check if a form array, do I have a sample? Yeah. So if a render array has something that was invalid, so like here, pre-render self-class, pre-render callback is a static method, and making sure that it actually is part of trusted callbacks, which I don't know if I can do that, if I can actually evaluate that, or that unsafe callback, it's not trusted. Same with items in here. So maybe I should kick this back up. Otherwise, there's some fun ones. This is really cool. Did they adjust my feedback? Not yet. So now this will be really cool when it lands. So right now, if you define your entity type storages, it will, like, entity type get storage returns like node storage, all that. But now create will say that this line of code, node is a node entity type, which right now comes back as entity interface. So there's no typing to it. So this is like super, super cool. It's just, it was bailing out early if the entity storage mapping didn't exist, and that's not really required. But this test fixture right here has me all kinds of excited, right? Like term stores, taxonomy term, and create, load unchanged, load multiple, load by properties are all returning typed data, like properly typed information, which is just fabulous. So which means that we can do better static analysis in Drupal core and your Drupal code itself. So let's see. I'm going to give them a chance to review it. My requests. And they also have this really cool one. And execute can return an int or an array based on if it's a count query or not. And that's one thing they're trying to solve right now in this issue. So I might try to fiddle with this locally. But when doing It works in this fashion when you have a lot of chained, when you have a heavily chained call, that it can tell execute returns an array or int string. That's right, because it returns entity IDs, which are strings, even though they're integers technically. Or if you do a count, it says it's only an integer as a count. But it breaks down when you change things up a bit. It's like if you do access check and then query execute. I want to try messing with this one and see how far I can get. So let's go ahead and projects PHP, phpstan-drupal, get checkout, main, get checkout main, pull. I want to see, let's see, 241. Well, it's funny because the keys aren't come back as an integer, even though the IDs returned from the database are strings. So yeah, it should be string, but I know when I've looked at it, because they're numbers, PHP converts the keys to be numbers, even though they're string numbers from the database, or something like that. It's weird. I know when I've looked at it in Xdebug, the keys are actually integers, even though the IDs are still strings in the array. Something with PDO maybe, like maybe that's why. Like PDO returns the ID as an integer, but the value is still like, but column values are still strings. I don't know. Let's see. I need to open this in PHP Storm. So I'll close down drupal-rector, and this resized differently. Okay. Let's do I'll bring it all over here. So GitHub PR checkout 241. Yeah, since I only got like doing this for another hour, I'll tackle this. So let's get to the entity query dynamic extension. So is super value, and let's go find the test. Test type data, entity query, dynamic return, entity query execute. So this, I want to comment these out. Oh, let's just run it with, like, I want to find a way. So that would pass, like when you call count, this count is true, but it's only interfaces. So maybe that's why it doesn't know how it modifies the parent. So if we run the test, we're going to get a failure at the end. Let's see where it fails. Oh, error. Oh, shoot, that's right. Every time I run a new test, I got to run it twice. So that way, for whatever reason, it can find Drupal. Speaking of templated types, I started to write a patch for core and realized core doesn't have an. Is there anything to follow? Templated types. Oh, like the whole like at template thing. I have no idea. That's all new to me, using templates like that. Actual array int. So yeah, I know Drupal core has no templated types. Oh, is anyone discussing using expanded array types? I don't know. And I have a feeling it'd be one of those like, well, you gotta change every instance of it instead of just one at a time. Or if it's like one of doing it here and there. I don't know. I would like to see that with expanded arrays. Because you could even have, you could have array int entity interface, right? Like I would like to see this in places instead of just entity interface with the brackets. But I have no idea. I think at that point it's just open an issue for core so it can be discussed. Because who knows what would be going on there. So while method call, so let's see. This does a well var instance of method call gets super type. If name object is not instance of identifier, default return type. Oh, to see instead of return type, I would like, instead of just entity interface with brackets, I'd like to actually see array, whatever you want to call this character, int, comma, entity interface. So that way the keys are explicit. Because you'll see various times in core that it says, oh, keyed by. And I think it should be, if we had arrays that explicitly said what the key type is, I think that would be really huge. So it doesn't go away again. I'll paste it into the chat. So I'd like to see more of that coming into core when we have arrays. So, all right, this does a do while to determine what kind of query is happening here. That if it's a count or not count. So that's why this is failing, because it's defaulting to just array int. And I'm going to cut it down to one test type. So that I can debug this. So I'm going to drop a breakpoint here. And let's debug. So we have in here, we have an entity query that has no count. So instead of it being int or array, it should be an array of int string. And it bails because there is not an instance of method call. It's query, but the method call name is execute. So let's see if we can somehow find out more about this node that we're in. Oh, but maybe not. Maybe it's we don't have enough scope. Oh, here's the scope. Let's look at the scope. Context, file, class reflection is null. Node scope resolver. All right, let's look more at the method call. Attributes, parent, value, the name, execute, name is query. This attribute parent, we're getting nowhere. That's just pure nested. All right, we're just going down. Call method reflection. That's just a reflection, not what we want. So what if we do query interface? So it defaults to entity query, query builder type. So if query type is not a super of the variable type, var type. All right. Let's see. So we need to do if not var instance of method call. Right, because var is variable or method call stop equals null. Let's just breakpoint here. because I believe that's what happened, is it just skipped over this. So var is an actual variable. So let's see what we can find out about this variable. Scope. Get type. I don't think we'll be able to get type from value. Get variable type. It's global variable has variable mixed type. That would just tell us that, oh, wait, maybe. String variable name. This has test equals. So var name. I don't know. Let's rerun it. I guess I should do if var is instance of variable rather. So actually, so var should be if var is instance of variable test, we get the object of query interface. Why couldn't we? Is this not always an int? What would, but all, oh, config entities return string. You're right. You couldn't on the base storage, but you could on the more concrete interface. You could override a return type. But you're right. Config entities return a string for ID. Which, let's go support entity return type. You have a really good point here. Let's go. Where is this? Where is this? Where is it? Method reflection. There we go. Return single. We need to check the interface, the type of storage. If it is config storage, config entity storage interface, it is array string type. All right, so I'm gonna put this as needs work. Thank you for bringing that up because that would have broke with config entities. We should add mapping for field config for block config and test that here. All right, so we should, okay, that was a good catch. All right, so let's see. So we know that we're in entity query interface, which I guess query builder type. So we can do here. So let's say parent, we'll say parent type, and then test is query builder type is super of parent type. Yes, let's do a debug and see there. So test is true. All right, so we're able to determine that the parent type is of the query inner type. But this here says if it's not, return array type integer string type. That hurts my head. I don't understand where that comes into play. Like, I don't understand how this one happens. So maybe what I need to do is also, I'm going to drop a breakpoint here, and I'm going to uncomment these and hit play. I need to make sure I actually understand how it works. And that's not the right way to do it. So entity query dynamic return type. Let's hit run. Let's do it. Actually debug it, because I don't understand how it first works. Like this right here. Just okay. So we're testing. What one is it? It's this first one. The first one is access check execute. All right. So method call, name, execute, var, access check. So it's going up to parent. So var type of var. So var is method call because it's chained, I see, because it's like a chaining. Name object. So name is access check. Bubble it up so we traverse further up. Okay, so this handles chaining of the... So this handles when everything's chained together. Is now var type is object type, because we're back up to storage because we went furthest up the chain to this get query. And what? Why is this? Hold on. This logic doesn't make sense to me. So if query type builder is not a super of var type, object type, node storage, this feels wrong. I don't even understand how that works. Hold on. I want to reload this at the name. Let's reload it again. I hate when it catches like a ghost breakpoint. All right, so name, access check, access check, access check, count. Why is it? Oh, wait. So it never got to check the get query because it instantly saw get storage. I feel like something in here is going to bite us. So I'm going to ignore everything in this while loop for now and try to resolve when we get to this bottom of that. We have query, execute, and query. We know that query is of type here. So if not yes, I'm going to do return. Oh, wait. We'll return the default type. That's where we'll start. So if the parent of the variable is not of an entity query, start here. So parent type, what do we know about it? Ancestors, entity type, Drupal, okay. Node storage, object type. So we got the query interface, node storage. Again, this just tells us the methods, and we don't know anything about what's happening to it right now. Scope. Let's do scope. Get type, get the function. Assign variable. do not treat, enter, equals, other scope, nope, filter, get defined variables, get function name, get function type, get parent scope. I have no idea if that will do anything. Scope, specify, restore, resolve name, remove type, push and function call, merge with is specified, is in trait, it's in first level statement, closure, has, get type, see, is in first level, get type from value. No, this just returns its type, assign variable, addition, create, is an expression sign. I want to see what the parent scope does, if it has anything in it. So we can try to see if we can try to discern anything about the parent. Oh, this didn't cause an error having that there. Parent scope is null. Well, shoot. I guess we probably have no idea. Query. Next is the identifier. Parent. I guess we'll have no idea to know if it's been called account. It just reads it line by line. So parent type, ancestors, methods. So get query, query interface, access check, execute. Or wait a second, hold on. Methods, ancestors. Wait, hold on. All right. So parent type. So we can, let's do assert. Let's try something. Let's do assert parent type instance of object type. Parent type get ancestor with class name. Get method, get unresolved prototype, ancestors. I want to get ancestors with class name. There's the methods. It feels like we're able to find the previous calls, and inside query interface, we have access check and execute right here and no count. And I feel like we can track this. Methods. All right. How can I access this? If stop. We're going to stop the debugger. Get unresolved method prototype. Can call method. If is in class, no. Methods, description, method name, can call method. So it's in get unresolved method prototype only. Sure, let's do get method, get unresolved method prototype. We're going to do count. Method name is string, scope. And the test will do get query as well. Test 1 and test 2. Let's debug it. And an error. Data provider specified for test search is invalid. What do you mean it's invalid? Oh, shoot. There's an actual error below that. Method get query was not found in reflection of query interface. That's why. So let's do access check because that actually is. Oh, this method reflection. It's not what I was hoping to see. So let's go to parent type methods. Oh, so that added it to the cache. No. Execute. No. Hold on. Like I have a feeling we're breaking parts of phpstan by knowing because that's a static method. So I guess it's not very reliable. Scope is in class. Can call method is no. Okay, because we're not in a class inside of our executable. And then self methods. Yeah, this is just a static cache. So it's not reliable to use. Ancestor. It's query interface. Shoot. I was hoping we could use it as a way to track what the state, or like what methods have been called on the parent query, but I don't think that's going to happen. So parent types, query interface, current ancestors, same thing. Man. Super types, that's not it. And then once you refresh this, it just, once you hit something else, that static cache gets updated. So scope. I wish there's a way to know node scope resolver that like what methods have been called on that variable. So parent type, let's see. Property. Get property without transforming static. This just looks like the class reflection property. Get unresolved property prototype. Get ancestor without name. Reference classes. Accepts. Super of. All right, let's do github.com. When in doubt, Laravel does a lot of magic stuff too. So see how they work. So types. Let's see. Relation dynamic return. So it has one. So if method calls 0, get type, constant string, object type, generic object type. Well, that's just. So model has one through morph one. Generic object type, get class. Oh, it's almost like we would need to shoot. So it feels like we need to actually create a dynamic return type for get query, like all of these things, like we'd have to all the way down. Because this just returns a certain thing. Man, construct main type, array types, subtracted type, class reflection, and there's no way to put like properties on it. Has one belongs to string type, resolve. Yeah, maybe it won't model property. Let's see. Model property node type resolver. No. I don't think this will work. Yeah, I don't think there's any way to really check like further up the chain. Model relation dynamic return type. So class is model, is method supported. That's what we're doing here. So class, we have those. So this relation parser helper, find related model and relation, get declaring class. If is instance return type, if is instance to belong to, return new generic object. Yeah, I don't think this could be easily done because we would need to, what is, let's go into this right now real quick. So query interface, right? We've got count. Where's count? Function count, query base. How is this used? So if this count the result. So it's not even like a different query type that gets returned. It just literally does a count on the result. I was hoping that if we saw, man. So what I was hoping we could do is actually just check if I was hoping it would be like a different class if there was a count, like a count statement, because then we could have a dynamic return type that says, okay, count was called, return this other object type. Because I feel like that's what needs to happen is we almost need to have a different object representation if it's a count query. And I don't know. So generic object type. Again, here, like, I don't know. So generic object type, the main type, and the other types it references. This types, accepts. So like, this is one where documentation would be great. Because it's not in the code. So write in extensions. Core concepts, type system, learn more. Let's look at generic object type. So foo t is a generic object type. Generic template variables. What can a type tell us? Oh man, and we can't. So my thought was, if we could have something that listened to the count and returned a generic object type that knew execute would return an integer if count was called, because then we can tell phpstan at any time that query, like as soon as count is called, query is turned into a count query interface. But we don't have that in Drupal core. And we have to have valid object types. Generic object type. Because we would actually be listening on count as well for that. So object type the class name. Create room from reflection, get class name, has property. And it has to be an actual So generic object type. All right, let's equals type instance itself, get reference classes. For this types, generic object type. I want to see if this is type combinator. No. Okay, let's see. Type specifying specify types is method supported. Class is static method supported. Configuration file. Generic object type. I just want documentation on when this should be used, and that's it. Discussions. I'll write all object properties to type string. To make my the extension needs to return new generic object type that wraps the concrete class with a new object type of X. This guy, you field name will only know about find usages. Extends. Yeah, so let's see. Template generic, that's not. No. Template generic, that's not it. New instance creation, PHP doc. So generic types. So that's it. So it's what I want to do doesn't work because there is nothing in Drupal that's concrete. There is no, like I said, there is no count interface. Like it doesn't transform the entity query into being a different class or interface. So there's no way for it to work. Man, because the way I see it is, even if we did like return new generic object type, the main type would have to be query interface class, and then the types we would need to have. This is when we could say new object type count query count interface, but we don't have that because it just does a count. So that's not gonna work. Man, cache parent. Yeah, I thought I thought maybe I found some kind of magic, but I did not. I did not at all find out any kind of magic. But that seems like it feels like we need to have object type get. So there, it feels like this is the right track though. That let me make that a comment. While looking at this, I feel like part of the trick is to also have a dynamic return type on query on entity query interface count, which flags something so we're aware that the parent object type, the query, is a count. Because icky, can you include some sort of fixture to force the interface? That's what I thought about. I thought about adding our own, like, you know what? Maybe we could. Let's see. Model. So view string type. So right here, they create their own type that overrides it. So that way, like, all right, let's try that. So type. Let's do an entity query count type. I'll just call it that for right now. Declare namespace. What did I fix the namespaces to? So final class entity query count type extends object type. We'll just extend that. Compound constant string type. We don't need to make. Let's not get too wild with all that. So we need to actually have. Let's. No, it's like another return type. Entity query dynamic return type. Oh, wait. Is method supported? We can support both methods in here. All right, let's we'll do in array needle count. All right. So if it's a count or execute, we'll get the default return type out of the way. Method called name. I guess that's the first thing. If method reflection name is equal to count. Also, if method reflection get name, execute, else throw new should not happen exception, or rather we just return. So let's start here and do a debug. All right, stop. To the good old stop equals null. Now we'll debug it. So the method, the first one is, oh yeah, because this had no count. So execute. Oh man, actually this makes it really easy. So all right, query builder type. We don't need that because we know it should be a method call. Yeah, it's a method call on query interface. So was it parent type? It's like we need to handle both all these use cases. So method reflection count. Why don't we do parent type? Are we? So how do we here? It's actually breakpoint in the ifs. All right, so we got method reflection, method call. There is query. So we'll do so we can always take this var. Get variable type, string variable name, has variable. I wish we could just do scope get type. Oh, yes, we can. Great. So let's do var type equals get type. I'm gonna start rebuilding this, and I'm definitely going to go over time because I want to see this as close as I can get. So var type is object type. Bingo bango. Now let's say if var type instance of object type we will return. Oh wait, where is this in here? Let's return an integer type and string. Although this could be, oh, this is where it could be wrong too, where to do config, right? Config storage might be, would be, wait, no, it's a keyed array. That's right, it's a keyed array. What? No. Dang it. 1 second. I don't even remember. Query interface. Execute. Returns an integer for count. The values of the array will always be IDs. The keys will be revision IDs. Okay, so it is an ID. What is the interface for the object we're looking at methods for? It's the it is not, no, it is basically queer. It's copy the reference. It's roughly this. Unless we're doing yeah, it's query interface. So to do not select interface. Select interface is the database API that is not in the entity query API. So to do, if this is a config storage, it's string keys. You revisit after so we have to revisit that after we do support entity return type. Then we can check what kind of storage we. Yeah, select interface, count query. Like I'm pretty sure count query mutates the item. Oh, it doesn't. It returns the same query. So I think this is the right track. Else if, so let's do else if var type is instance of entity query count type return return integer type. And then all else fails, default return type if for some reason that does not work. Which actually we can we'll keep that. I'll simplify this in a minute. Oh, wait. Condition is always false because var type instance of object. Oh, that's right. I need to put the super first. Yeah, I need to put the super first. So let's rerun this test. Because we know if it's an object type, it's going to be the default object, and we can return the array. And the test will pass. Yes. Okay, test passed. Boom. So now let's uncomment the second part and debug the test, which will hopefully run both scenarios. Awesome. So we're at count. So now, since we have a count, we want to return new entity query count type, the class name. Let's see. So we want to have. Oh wait. Let's stop. Let's do. Let's make sure we wrap it into something. Just to be safe. You always want to be safe than sorry. So we'll do var type, class name, var type, get subtracted type, var type, get class reflection, and that's it. All right. If statement with common parts. Let's just say, okay, we'll do method name equals method reflection, get name. Copy that and replace. And that means we can actually just delete all of this here. And I think, oh man, I think we got it. I'm going to uncomment those and I'm going to play the test. Oh, thanks for hanging out. Holy crap. It worked. Wow. I don't even believe it right now. No way. No way. Nah. Um, so the really cool part about this is going to completely revise how a lot of the dynamic return type stuff in this works. Wow. Sorry, I don't believe that it actually works. So, right? Check access, execute. Let's make another version of this that doesn't even do check access. So get query. Right? No way. Let's test this out. I know nobody's supposed to use it this way, but it exists, so people will. And query. Let's see if this works too. I mean, it should, but no. I don't believe it. So I think I'm gonna put a let's see. I feel like we're gonna have so many dynamic return types inside phpstan that I think I'm gonna try to make some sub namespaces. So we'll call this entity query as a directory, and move these into here. Represents. This is where I'm going to document stuff. Represents or super or subclass to represent type used to represent an entity query instance as count query, and fix this here. Let's clean up some of these unused. I don't believe this. This like blows my mind right now. Let's find the extension.neon. And what was that called? Entity fields via magic, class resolver, any entity query dynamic. Oh, entity query. And see if I need to fix anything in that test. I didn't even go that far over time. I just want to make sure this test passed and then ask Brahm for some feedback. Oh, wait, that's right. Security Wednesday, huh? So that means there is Drupal security releases. Right. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Drupal core. Oh, just one. Wait, contrib. Let's see. CK editor release. Okay, so CK editor had a release and OpenID for Azure. Oh, so that's not too bad at least today for some releases. All right, I'm going to commit this. Leverage custom object type for count entity queries. So all I got to say is, like, it's really amazing how elegant phpstan makes things with objects. So if something doesn't fit right and you need to do custom typing, just create a custom object type. Oh man, I pushed the git push. I pushed it to the wrong branch. There we go. Let me ping. Can you review my push? I ended up rewriting the dynamic return type extension. I added a new custom object type. When we encounter a count method, we alter the return type to be this new custom object type. It represents, it acts as if Drupal had a new entity count query. When we count method, we alter the return type. It acts as if Drupal, it acts as if the, it allows us to check the type and know if it was a count query. Like if the method returned a different interface. Oh, but something got angry at me. The test, oh shoot. But where in the test? Oh, it's PHP-CS, because of course it is. So let's fix that. 47. Oh, entity query type. Oh, yeah. So those Drupal coding standards sneaking in. So git status, git add source type. And then I'm just going to do a git amend. And also PHP vendor bin, phpstan to make sure I didn't introduce any new errors. And so I have line 27. All right. Git add, git amend, git push F. Let's see. Oh man, I am super excited about that. Cool. Thanks for hanging out. So just so everybody does know, phpstan-drupal has received a lot of exciting enhancements for the static analysis parts. Instead of just code to fix to check deprecations, like it's actually becoming far more intelligent. We're right now we're making work around the entity system. So this will make it more intelligent that if you call an entity query with count, that the return type from execute is an integer, not just integer or array. Same with return type from entity storages, that it will return the proper type, the proper entity classes. That's the word I was looking for. So there's a lot of really interesting work coming through with this. So I'm going to head out though, and thanks for tuning in. I will be back tomorrow, even though my Wednesdays are no longer sponsored by Palantir, by my choice, because I'm taking a new job at Acquia. I still have a few more shows through Esteemed, where I'll be working on PHP Stan for PHP 8 releases, or PHP 8 compatibility. So thanks for hanging out, and see you tomorrow.